Hi everyone, my name is Daizen Ikehara. I'm going to talk about getting started on Xamarin.Forms with the powerful tools from Infragistics Ultimate UI. So let me introduce myself. My name is Daizen Ikehara. I'm working at the Infragistics Japan office as the product marketing manager. My email, Twitter address is here. So if you have any questions regarding this topic, you can send me questions. Also that I'm writing technical blogs at the bit.ly/DaizenEN. So if you go to this URL, you see my blogs. So today's session is for .NET developers interested in mobile application development with their skill set. So if you have been working on C# .NET framework for a few years, you can use your skill set to create mobile applications. Also that developers interested in Xamarin and Xamarin.Forms platforms, I'm going to talk about what is Xamarin, what is the Xamarin.Forms, what's pros and cons. Also that I'm going to introduce our powerful tools from Infragistics Xamarin.Forms. So you can use our controls as well as the productivity tools, which enables to you jumpstart Xamarin.Forms development. This session is for basic session, so if you do not have any knowledge for Xamarin.Forms, that's fine. You can jump start after this session. So as I said, I'm going to talk three things. One is I'm going to introduce Xamarin.Forms overview, pros and cons, also introduction to Ultimate UI for Xamarin. Then I'm going to demonstrate how to use our productivity tool along with the controls. So first, I'm going to talk about the Xamarin.Forms overview. So what is Xamarin? This picture screenshot came from Xamarin.com website. So Xamarin is a framework. You can use C# or .NET framework libraries to build the iOS, Android, also UWP applications. So it means that you can use .NET framework or C# skill set to create your own mobile applications. When you develop mobile applications, especially for native applications, you used to be having each IDE or each language you need to use. For example, if you want to create an iOS application, you need to learn about Objective-C or Swift with the how to use Xcode as the IDE. Also Android, you need to use Java. Also you have to use Eclipse or Android Studio right now. Also that UWP or Windows application, of course you need to use Visual Studio, as well as you have to use C# or VB. So what Xamarin helps is that you can centralize your knowledge to one place. So if you are using Xamarin, you can use a C# or .NET framework libraries, and also you can choose one of these IDEs to develop each platform. So you don't have to have 3 IDEs in your machine. You just need to use just one. Also, if you are using Xamarin.Forms, you can use these Xamarin features, and also you can share the code for UIs. So what that means is that you only build one project with the UIs, common logic or services, and each platform's application package would be generated. So let's go into the Xamarin.Forms solution. Usually when you create a Xamarin.Forms solution, there are 3 or 4 projects that are coming along. So this is the one of the examples. So I created app 7 as the Xamarin.Forms project. Then you can see the app 7.Android, app 7.iOS, app 7.UWP. What that means is that you mainly working on after 7 project, then build up the UIs or application logic, which can be shared across platforms. Then each platform generates the packages. So for example, Android, you need to have APK package. For iOS, you have to create .ipa package. So each project generates those packages as well. Also, if you need to use platform-specific features or libraries, you can implement the features inside of these project. Also, when you create Xamarin.Forms application, you can build UI by XAML. Last month, I had a webinar for talking about XAML on the data binding stuff. For WPF, you can use the knowledge or skill set to create Xamarin.Forms applications. Small things different, but you can use, I would say, like 80% or 90% of your knowledge. For XAML in WPF, you can reuse those knowledge to Xamarin.Forms. So one of example is that data binding is supported. So this is the label, which is represent the label, and you can bind to the text to page title property from the main page view model. When you run it, you see the bound data. So basically, you don't necessarily to know about the Objective-C or Java to create iOS applications or Android applications. I'd like to mention about the coverage of the APIs in Xamarin. So Xamarin claims everything you can do for native code, you can do that in Xamarin, which is almost true. But you have to know APIs for native APIs. So you need to still learn about how iOS application works, how Android works. But you don't have to use the Java or Objective-C or Swift. Another thing you need to recognize is that when you run up an application for Xamarin.Forms, each platform shows different UIs. So let's say this is the iOS application. So you're running it. You see the text box button, and this is the tab section. So in iOS, tab should be located below the screen. But if you run the same application from Xamarin.Forms project, you see the tab on the top. This is the platform controls. So you actually don't have controls over these very specific UIs. What that means is that if you want to create 100% pixel perfect application for across platforms, Xamarin.Forms would not be the best choice, because you have to understand this is the okay. If you want to have like 100% pixel perfect UIs across platforms, you may need to create your own UI or custom rendering, so which disables the advantage for the Xamarin.Forms. So before you decide to use Xamarin.Forms, you need to ask yourself whether UI could be different by platform, or you really have to be the same. So after making a decision, you can use Xamarin.Forms. Every time I go to the customer, I really need to explain this, because customers would think, one source code, one UI code brings the all same UIs to the platforms, which is not right. So when you have a chance to talk to your managers or your customers, please note this is the difference, but this should be okay. Also, when you use the Xamarin or Xamarin.Forms, the speed of the update versions are very fast. For example, I'm going to open Xamarin.Forms NuGet package history. So let me open up this site. So this page shows the revisions and when it's released for Xamarin.Forms. Right now, it's 2.5. This was released a month ago. Then one version before released 3 months ago. Then another one 4 months ago. Even in the same month, it released another version or another build. So you see the new version every a few weeks. So it's very hard to keep up with the new features. And you need to decide when to upgrade your Xamarin versions as well. Most of the customers don't upgrade versions after freezing the code for applications. So, once you decide to go with the code, you may want to freeze the version. But what happens is that if you find any issues or bugs inside the Xamarin framework, it won't be fixed in the version. You have to upgrade the Xamarin or Xamarin.Forms version. So I heard most of the companies upgrading main version for by new OS, whenever iOS 11 coming, they upgrade, or whenever iOS 12 is coming, they try to upgrade. Or if you see any important issues and needs to be solved with the later version, you need to consider with the upgraded version. So as a result, you cannot freeze a version for 3 years. It's not possible. So you need to think about your versioning as well. Also, since Xamarin is upgrading very first, right now, these great capability for Visual Studio do not come in with the Xamarin.Forms. So, for example, Xamarin.Forms, it doesn't have drag and drop toolbox, or it doesn't have property window, or it doesn't have the designer for controls. So these are for Windows Forms tooling, and Visual Studio provide that. Because Windows Forms upgraded a one version per a few years, Microsoft was able to keep up with the version up, but Xamarin is very first, as you saw, so it's very hard to create tooling. After 1 or 2 years coming out for Xamarin.Forms, is still they don't have the toolbox, they don't have the designer, they don't have the property window. They are doing better. I mean, Microsoft is doing better, but tooling or productivity is still a challenge. So first 10 to 15 minutes, I spent time for overview of Xamarin.Forms, and here are pros and cons. So pros, obviously, you can stick with the one IDE and one programming language. So you don't have to hire or to make your developers learn iOS application or Android development. You can have one team to work on the mobile application project. Also that if you are using Xamarin, you can share the code across platforms. So Xamarin claims you can share the code of 50 to 80% or 90% if you use the framework accordingly, which is, I say that true. So if you are looking for the way to provide mobile applications for iOS or Android, you can consider to use Xamarin. So about the cons, yes, as I said, it's very difficult to achieve pixel perfect UI. So this is one thing you need to consider when you use the Xamarin.Forms. Also that some toolings are missing, so you have to find a way to increase your productivity. It's not like you are developing Windows Forms application or you are creating ASP.NET Web Forms application. So it may be taking some time to get along with the XAML or the how to create Xamarin.Forms project. So this is the final slide for the first part. If you have any questions, I can pause here and answer those. Okay, so next part is the what we are offering to the market. So in this section, I'm going to talk about the introduction to Ultimate UI for Xamarin. This is the under Infragistics Ultimate Package bundle. You can also purchase Ultimate UI for Xamarin in a single product, but if you are looking for a product which supports web, desktop, mobile, you can purchase the Infragistics Ultimate and can use Xamarin controls as well. So what Infragistics Ultimate UI for Xamarin offers is one is the UI controls, another one is the tooling. So I'm going to talk about those two things. First, for Xamarin.Forms, we provide LOB controls like a charting or grade, schedule, and I'm proud to say our charter is the #1 performance in the market. So you are seeing the animation pictures. So with our chart, you can bind to a few million data points, or you can render in the 10 milliseconds or something like that. Also, that data grid provides the UI and the data virtualization. But the main is that you can load a lot of data, but you can have the smooth scrolling with that. Also, we are providing a lot of charting data visualization types, as well as the schedule UIs. So here are the set of the UIs we are providing in the Xamarin.Forms product. So you have the virtualized data grid, you have the many types of the chart. Also that we provide gauges. We also provide Excel library, so you can work with the Excel sheet in your mobile applications. So I'm going to show some of controls from now on by using sample browser, as well as I'm going to show the reference application used with our Ultimate UI for Xamarin.Forms controls. Okay, so before I'm going to show the demos, I've got a question. So is there any performance difference using Xamarin compared to the native iOS, native Android applications? Xamarin, this is actually a question for Xamarin, and I heard Xamarin claims it's almost the same performance, but I'm sure there is overhead because you have to wrap native API to Xamarin framework. So I wouldn't say the same, but I would say like a 55%, 95% with the same performance. Let me search the official Xamarin statement after, then I'm going to follow up with that. So if you want to try out our sample browser or applications, you can download that from our website. So here's our website. If you choose Ultimate UI for Xamarin, then here, resources. So you can see the samples. You can download the sample browser with a project, or you can download the reference applications. So let me open up this iOS simulator. By the way, I'm doing this webinar in Windows, but it's running inside of the Mac. So if you are creating iOS application in Xamarin, I recommend that you use the Mac because it's needed for building the iOS application. And if you have the high-spec PC, then you can run Windows with no stress inside of a Mac, and it's very easy to set up the build agent for Xamarin. So right now, sample application is coming up with the iOS simulator, and you can debug your iOS application remotely from Windows Visual Studio. Okay. So actually, I have already installed the sample browser here. So this is the sample browser, so you can play around with our controls. So for example, we provide QR code controls, so you see the how it's working, or like the variation the options or properties. Also that we provide the schedule controls. So this is the calendar and agenda. So you can have this kind of the schedule UI into your mobile application. Also, we do have the data grid, which may be suitable for tablet applications rather than mobile applications. But you can have the multiple columns with a lot of data row. So it has the one example with the large data size. So this is binding to all data. And whenever I scroll, you see the rectangle sometimes. So this means if it's the data real time, and it shows the scrolling. So you can have the very first performance with our data grid. Also, we do have the chart with a lot of the chart size and chart series, columns per line, spline. I'm not going to detail, but we do have donut chart, panel chart, per chart, or spot line. Also, we do have data visualization UI, like this bar graph, or something like the gauges. So if you want to create a dashboard application or like monitoring application for mobile, you can use these kind of UIs. Also, you can work with the Excel worksheet. So this is very boring sample, but what that means that you can create your own Excel file inside of your application, or you can load the Excel file from somewhere. It could be, cloud storage, load the Excel file and showing the data inside of your application. So these are our controls, and you can use your applications. Next, I'm going to show our Move to You applications. This application is demonstrating how to use our controls and how it can be used. So the scenario is that you bring your application when you deliver the products. So let's say like a food or drinks. And this is the list of the customers or the target places. So let's say I'm delivering these 4 items. Then I got sign. It updates the list of the this shipping list. Or you can show the map. This is actually a picture, but that this is one of the scenarios the application covers. Also that you can see the performance for this week or monthly or yearly. And as you saw this UI, we've been using our controls here. So you can create this kind of the mobile application with our Ultimate UI for Xamarin.Forms controls. So next, I'm going to talk about the other tooling stuff. So from now on, I'm going to create my own application here. First, we provide app map, which allows you to visually design your application flow with the screens, expose master detail, tabs, UI patterns. Then after you designing the flow, it creates the scaffolding your project. So you don't have to build from scratch. You can use the generated code, then I add it to UIs. So I'm going to create a new application here. Project new. So if you installed our tooling, you see the Infragistics here. It has the Xamarin.Forms subgroup. And whenever you click on that, it loads up the wizard. So you can choose what platform you are going to create. So for this time, I'm going to create an Android and iOS application. Then also that showing the app map style. So this is actually similar to Microsoft Visio. So you can drag object here, or you can use mouse cursor here, zoom in or zoom out, or you can move your screen with the control and the padding here. So I'm going to create the main page. This is my start page. Also that I'm going to navigate from this page to here, main to, let's say, customers. Then in the customers, I'm going to navigate the other pattern, master detail pattern here. So I'm going to use 2 detail pages. So here, from customers to, let's say, customer detail page, and it has the sales. Let's say customer details, sales, also I don't know, employees. So right now I have the 5 screens. So first you're going to the main page, going to the customers page. You can navigate to the customer detail page, and it has the 2 detailed pages here. So with that, when you press generate app map, it creates the projects with the navigation flow for these 5 screens. It takes some time, but if you wait for a while, you see the generated code here. So I think that okay, so you have these 3 projects. So AppMap project 4 contains views. So since I created 5 screens, there's a 5 example file, main page, customers, customer detail, employees, sales. Also that it creates the view models for each screen. So let's say when you open the main page, it has the label on the bottom, which should be navigating to the customer's screen. And also that the view model class, which is actually inherited from AppMap view model base. This class contains the old code for navigation or the fundamental stuff by using Prism framework. So let's go to the definitions. So it has the command for navigation. So that this is called when you press the button and do your work. So let's run this application here. So while we are waiting on builds, I recommend that when you try to create Xamarin.Forms application, you better have the powerful machine like a SSD or a lot of RAM, because Xamarin requires a lot of the resources. So I think the application is getting started. So you see the main page, and it has the button. So you can press the button, it navigates to the next page, which is the customer's page, and it has the button. You go to the customer detail, and then you see the sales, also that you can move to the employees here. So as you see the sample screen, it implements the navigation, so you don't have to worry about the navigation. You can add it to your UIs here to achieve your business goal. So this is the first tool I introduced with our productivity tooling. AppMap generates your code from the design of your screen navigations. Next tool I'm going to introduce is that our visual toolbox. As I said, Xamarin.Forms doesn't provide the toolbox, so you cannot drag and drop. So let's say if you want to add a button or if you want to add any kind of UI, you have to type by yourself. So in order to speed up the typing keys, we provide the world-first NuGet-based toolbox to the Visual Studio. So you can drag and drop the code inside of your XAML editors. So I'm going to use this project. So let's say in your first main page, it already has the UI, but I'm going to just run out. So as I said, there's no toolbox. So I'm showing the toolbox, but there's nothing. So you cannot drag and drop. Or there's no design screen. So you have to type something like when you want to use grade, you have to use grade. And as you see that there's a intent sense that you have to type anyways. Yeah. So if I want to have the 2 rows and 2 columns, I have to type some definition here. Then you have to type your UI. Let's say button text my own typing. So this is not the product friendly. So we provide the toolbox here. So when you go to view menu and also the other windows, there's a tool called the Infragistics Toolbox. So this allows you to drag and drop the Xamarin.Forms inbox layouts, views, also the controls here. So I want to add a grade, you can just drag and drop here. Or when you drag and drop, you can press Control and drag and drop. We have the common use Xamarin form here, so you don't have to type everything. You can just delete what you need. Then there's the 2x2 grades. Or like you can add button here, the editor. Let's say the picture. Also that when you press Control, some controller has the extra XAML. So let's say button here, that's the text. Obviously, whenever you use button, you have to set a text. So we have the text property here already, so you don't have to type this property. So this is the one of the toolings we provide. Also that when you use our control, it provides the support for the the adding tags here. So let's get back to the original one. So let's say when you go to the sets string, I want to show our control, not like a label. So I'm going to add a grid here. So in this grid, I want to show our data grid. So how you can do it? You can add it to our references here by using NuGet package. So here, manage NuGet package to your solution. So if you install our tooling here, you can add it to package here. Let me add it to NuGet package source. So I'm going to add IG NuGet local. And this should be added to my public folder. Infragistics 7.2. No, wait. Let me see. Here, logistics. Let's try with that. Oh, okay. Yeah. Somehow my PC doesn't have the local NuGet package. You can also use our online feed. So let me use the online feed here. So if you purchase our license, you can use the online feed so that you can get the latest update from us. Hopefully it's working. It's loading from the internet. Yeah, okay. So you can access to our NuGet package online. So let's say I want to use Xamarin.Forms controls. So if you type XF, which leads to our Xamarin.Forms controls. So I want to use our data grid here, and you can choose your project. Also that you can choose the version of build. Right now, in a NuGet feed, we are providing 80.1 build, which is the latest one, and it supports .NET Standard. So I'm going to add these packages. So it tries to download the package to local and add it reference to your project. Yeah. Okay. And also that if you want to build your Xamarin.Forms application, I strongly recommend to update your Visual Studio because it used to be very slow when you use the package in the Visual Studio 2017 when it came out. But after some versions and updates from Microsoft, it's very fast right now. It used to be I had to wait like 2 minutes to load everything, but right now it's done under 1 minute. So I really recommend that you use the latest version of the Visual Studio. So let me go back to the sales XAML page. Then after refresh here, okay. Let me just close and open up again. Here, okay. Let me just close and open up again. Here, the build ones. Yeah, sometimes you need to build to show our control inside the toolbox. So let me try with that. Infragistics Toolbox. Okay. I think I did here. Okay. Let me try with the another control, like here. Let me try with the gauges here. I may need to downgrade the versions because these tools and controls are very, two separate things. So let me try with the 80.1, the latest version. If it doesn't work, then I'm gonna downgrade to the 70.2. So right now it's downloading packages. Okay, I'm going to show the here. Okay, let me just change my version here. Here. So I have installed the versions. I'm going to change to the 7.2 because 18.1 should be coming out the next next one. So let me just uninstall first. Okay, it's installed. I'm going to change the version here. Let me try again. Okay, it's finished. So let me just clean up and then review. So I wanted to use 80.1 because the version supports .NET Standard, and right now I'm using the .NET Standard project, but you can still use our 7.2 inside of the .NET Standard project. Just giving the warnings, but it's okay. Here. Yeah, okay. Somehow my toolbox didn't show the our controls, but it should be working as expected. So I may need to update my tooling, but let me go with the 7.2 version now. So if you reference the our packages by NuGet, you can see our controls here. So whenever I add it to Xamarin Library here, it also added to the namespace here. So you don't have to type this long namespace in order to use our controls here. So this is the tooling we are providing. Obviously, it needs to be updated on my side, but you can use that tooling here as well. So let me just run this screen here. So I'm going to run the same project. So right now it's building the Xamarin.Forms application with our data grid, but I haven't specified any item source or source of the grid. So it's going to be blank, but I just want to show the how it's working. Okay, application is coming up. So I added my data grid to sales page here. Oh, I think that I need to clean up the cache. So clean solution. Here. I'm going to delete the application as well. Okay. So while running, I'm going to show the third tool we are providing. So the third tool we are providing is the control configurator, which allows you to visually configure our controls. So as you see in the XAML editor, you need to type properties, but some controls from us are very complex and it's very hard to learn or hard to use. So we came up with the concept of the configurator, which allows you to choose options from the ribbon and you can set the necessary properties or minimum set of the properties you need to run with our controls. Also that we provide a preview window that's here. So you see what's the outcome of the property setting. So you don't have to run every time. You can just show the preview and change the properties. Then after you save and close, the XAML code will be generated. Also that you can load existing XAML code as well. So then you check with the simulator, then I'll come back with the configurator here. So right now it's up. Yeah, actually, I think that I launched the wrong one here. That's the detail. No, not this one as well. Yeah, let's see. Okay, it's coming up. Yeah. It was slower than I expected. So custom detail. Here, okay, yeah, nothing. Yeah. So right now it doesn't have any data, so it's blank, but the data grid is staying here. So from now on, I'm going to add my data here to show the data grid. So in order to do that, I'm going to add a folder here. Let's say samples. So that I already have the C# code here. So I just got a drop here. So this is the sample class I created. It generates the code of the cells. So it has product, quantity, order on, purchased on, shipped on, and sales number. It generates the random data. So I'm going to add sales view model. And let's say sample sales collection. Hopefully my typing is correct. Sales collection. Let's try with that. Okay, I think this is the one. Then we just visualizing that data here. So in a sales page, I have the sales collection property, which contains the list of the sales. So let me do it again. Okay. So in order to open up your configurator, you have to build once. Then you can press the configure dump data grid option here, and it brings up the wizard. So how to use this configurator? First, you have to set the required fields. For data grid, you need to have data. So the item source is highlighted in red. So you can set the binding here. We also provide the data binding support dialog here, and it's very unique. If you are working on sales.xaml, it tries to find the name matching, which is the sales view model. You can also search with the other view models inside of your project. But first, by naming convention, if you work with the customers and you open up the binding dialog, it just shows the properties or fields inside the customer's view model. But now I'm using the sales view model as suggested. Also that I'm going to use sales collection. So it creates the binding. For data grid, it reads the structure of the data and it shows the field by default. You can disable this auto-generated field, and you can choose the one of two from this field. So let's say I want to show the product, also that quantity, sales, also that just the order date. You can change the order here. So yeah, I want to show the date first. Okay. Then quantity, sales. Also that you can choose the type of the columns. Right now, I'm just using the numbers here. You can choose the text or numeric date time. So yeah, image template. So by default, it with the type of the data, so I won't change anything. And so that you can change the alignment. So let's say this order on is going to be, theta is going to be left or right, or center, whatever you want to do that. Also that you can add it to the feature of the grid. So I'm going to group the product so I know that what's sales by products. So I want to group the product here, something like this. Also that you can choose the sort options, single sort or the multiple sorts. So I want to clear up the sort here. So I'm setting here. Okay. This is the selection mode. Use animation one node. Also, you can change the any property here. So you can set the option and see the preview. So let's apply and close. So it generates this code. This is actually working fine. Also that after you generate once, let's say you want to change, this is quantity, like a special quantity or something like that. You can change your XAML here, and you can load it again. The configurator reads the existing XAML, so it updates the preview screen or property screen. So you can use our configurator at first to run or get started, but also that after you make modification of your XAML code, you can still use our configurator here. So let's run this application. So customer detail, and you see the grid here. Also that it's grouped by product. Let's say order on, try state. Also you can choose one row as expected. So as you see this configurator, I don't type any code. I just changing the option or choosing the option from the wizard. After that, it's working fine. You can also modify each columns here. You can just type the XAML, or you can use the other configurator. So I hope this makes sense to you. Especially if you have used Windows Forms or legacy platforms in Visual Studio, it's very helpful for your development. So I introduced our tooling stack. It's actually available at the Visual Studio Marketplace. So if you go to the marketplace.visualstudio.com and type Infragistics, you see the 3 tooling here. It's free to use. So Infragistics AppMap, Infragistics WPF, and the Xamarin.Forms configurators, also Infragistics Toolbox. So about the configurators, you can use our configurators in WPF project as well. So if you own our Ultimate or Professional bundle, you can use this configurator. So as I showed in the beginning, if you want to try out our controls, you can go to our website, www.infragistics.com/Xamarin. You can download samples. You can download the reference application. Also, that there's a tutorial that shows the step-by-step how to use our productivity tooling I showed today. So when you go to the this product page and get started, so there are right first tutorials which demonstrates or which explains how to use our app map, how to use Toolbox, how to use Configurator. Also, there's the topic for round first, which explain that how to use our data grid, how to show the data to our chart. So if you want to try, please try with these pages. So I'm going to introduce the resources, then I'm closing out, waiting for questions. So if you want to start the Xamarin, I recommend that you go to the Xamarin page and learn what's available, what you can do. If you have MSDN subscription, you can use Xamarin for free. Also that we have the Ultimate UI for Xamarin product. It's free for trial. Also the tooling is free at Visual Studio Marketplace. So you can just leverage our app map and Toolbox. Also that Configurator if you want to use our controls as well. Also that we have the reference application available for you, so you can download the source code and see how it's implemented. Also, we do have the tutorial as I showed in the last section. So right first, around first tutorials. And last, this is Brian Lagnas, the product owner for Xamarin products. So he's managing the WPF, also Xamarin.Forms products at Infragistics. Also that he's the owner of the Prism, which is used in the app map tooling. So if you want to learn about Xamarin, WPF, Xamarin.Forms, I recommend you visit his homepage, and there are very useful information available inside his website. So here's the end of my webinar. Do you have any questions regarding the Xamarin or Infragistics Ultimate UI for Xamarin? Okay, so I got the one question from the previous section. So I'm going to search what's the difference between the native app versus Xamarin app by performance. I'm going to write up the following blog to answer that question. Also, if you have any question, you can ask the question to the apex@infragistics.com or send me email to Ikehara@infragistics.com.